All right, we are about to have our first game 3 here in Challengers on the main broadcast after a nice little run coming out from said esports. Dan, we got a map 3. It's still anyone's game at this point.
I'm feeling good. Feeling good. You just have to believe in the long run. I can lie, I did got a little scared after that first map. I thought I was gonna be wrong, but we're still on the way to get this prediction right. And honestly, I think it was a close game once again.
Mhm.
It seems like it was more that second half where things changed around quite a lot. Core, they could only get that first and second round of the second half, and that was it. 8 rounds in a row that went the way of Sad on this attacking side. Played out so well, understanding how they wanted to work around the utility that they had, work around with this tech, work around for these post plans, and shine a little bit more compared to what we were seeing before.
And again, right, another case of it's close until it's not. We get the side swap and one team just starts like dominating. And I'm glad to see too this confidence coming out from Sad. They're able to catch out these members of Core quite well, and just those mid-round adaptations too based off of that. Like this looked clean.
Yeah, I think the way Sad was utilizing their composition on their attack side made it incredibly awkward for the other team to even adjust, and even if it was like what they were doing was obvious, it still felt hard to defend against because of the layers of utility, because of the amount of things like tools they have at their disposal to push off angles, pressure sites, pressure map control. And there just was so much to work with for Sad, and they look like a very well-oiled machine from the beginning of the round all the way into the post plant.
Yeah, and even pulling up the individual player performances, you know, of course they had a couple first kills, but Sad really being able to bounce back from that. Looking at this, we got to see a big step up across the board. And Core, even if things didn't go well on that second half, still then being able to pull together some impressive stats. But if you're looking at the ACS star, which I know that's the first thing you're always go to, well, it's Tuesday here.
Yeah, it was pretty good, and once again we continue to highlight these controller players that have been doing so well. I mean, we mentioned it for Core in that first map. This one was a opportunity, and it goes back also to the post plans that we just talked about. We saw 8 out of 9 post plans go the way of Sad Esports, and it was because of that annoying utility that you have to deal with Tuesday. Also, Benji doing the same, having the missiles recharge and going again for dip. It made it so annoying for Core to even grab that space, and that's crazy because with this Euro, Roy, we talked about it before. It's a Euro that can sometimes be very overwhelming, can be really good on this map, but it seems like Sad was denying those chances every single time.
Yeah, and I really do want to highlight how well Sad was utilizing their utility. And we have a round here, round 7, particularly where they were retaking with the Astra utility, with the Astra wall to section off the site. And then they use the Tejo ult to push off the site perfectly. It was like very well set retakes that they had planned out. And it's really these sort of rounds and these sort of moments that show you the level of layers that these players have. So the wall comes up. Now they have the ultimates for the retake coming up here shortly. Wait for it. There it is. So they're retaking the initial space. Okay, now all utils being used. There it is. That's a defensive Astra wall coming out right here. Look at that. The Tejo ult comes out as well. The Armageddon pushing everyone off completely. And now look, all of the core players are behind the Astra wall. There's really no way for them to know what's happening on the other side, putting so much pressure. And you can just tell that they're practiced and they're prepped for this composition. And it's really no surprise that they chose this map to where they wanted to go on the second map.
Yeah, it is really cool to see, and we get to see the best use of this Tejo utility for these post plans, and how these retakes also want to work out when you're playing around this timing, that in scenarios like this one, everybody's trying to get those trades, get those kills, and I really like the Armageddon. And again, this Astra at the beginning of the round, or at the beginning of this plan, that was what was really helping out so much. So there's a couple of things that they're cooking up that we haven't really seen before for other teams, and I want to see more of it.
I mean, when we're highlighting that round and you're calling out that Astra wall here, Roy, and Tuesday being able to just really be a standpoint, it was not just the util, but really being able to put up impressive numbers in the server, really being able to do it all.
Yeah, I mean, you have a zoomer on the controller roll putting up just a casual 190 damage, almost damage per round. Just like something slight for the boy, but like, yeah, it makes things easier. It really helps when you have these off star roles kind of popping off. You have your controller dropping star player stats. You have your duelist playing pretty well. Things become much easier. Then you have, you know, Dip layering the IGLing, that he's layering the strategy as well as the utility, and now you have what is a very clear reason to why they picked this map, even though Dan was doubting in the beginning.
Okay. I didn't expect the little dig at the end there. I'm not gonna lie.
I had to throw it in there. It's been building up.
He's like, we cannot make it through an analyst section without, like, just a little, just in
I'm
case.
just waiting to be right at the end, so it's okay.
Oh,
I mean,
patience.
Dan might get the last laugh in all of this. We still have one more map ahead of us. Our first game 3 here in Challengers so far here on the main broadcast. And we are heading to none other than Fracture. QOR starting on the defense. Both teams have played on this pretty recently, Dan, but a big conversation we've had is this Tejo versus non-Tejo. And recently, SAD have gone in that direction, and QOR, they haven't. Whether they switch it up for today, though, that'll be huge.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to be playing here. SAD, as you said, I mean, both of the teams have played this map recently. But we specifically, I want to talk about SAD and this Yoru once again being played out. It feels like, I don't know if I like the Yoru here. I think there's a couple other ways to get more value out of this composition with Tejo. I mean, we just talked about kind of the complete opposite on Bind. But I think I have my questions in Fracture, and if SAD are gonna keep playing this, or going back to the race.
Hey, I mean, if we're talking about the duelist and we have the Yoru on one end, Timotino, we talked a lot about him today as well. And even if there wasn't the win in the last map, and even if there was a couple of aggressive push-ups, now this was a map, if they do stick to something more recent, Roy, he played the Neon last time. So I would be intrigued to see that coming on out, especially with how he's been shooting today.
Yeah, I imagine the Neon probably still works really well in the current meta, especially with the amount of kind of explosive utility that could get rid of the gadgets. And that usually is what makes playing Neon annoying, right? Like the Cypher traps, the KJ mollies, these things make it a little awkward to scale on the site. But now with the extra added utility and explosives that can just clear up your pathing onto the site, I think playing the Neon would be pretty easy. And that's probably also the reason why they're leaning into the Yoru as well, as they don't really need the extra explosives now. When you have Breach and you have Tejo who's able to take care of KJ ults, they're able to take care of gadgets and even bullying map control. It makes the duelist role so much more flexible, and you can lean into your player's strengths instead.
That'll be if we get to see QOR go over to the Tejo, because we've gotten to see that they're not unwelcome to using it, but with their most recent Fracture, they didn't. So that'll be, I don't know, that'll be quite interesting. But then with how these teams have stacked up within the series as well, I mean, Dan, you're saying trust the process. Roy, how are you feeling with what we've seen from these two teams now headed into this map 3?
I can see. Oh, no, you go ahead. You go ahead.
No, I just want to say it's so funny that we're like choosing sides on, like, this is like grand finals. I don't even know why we're doing this. I mean, we're sticking with it, though. We're sticking with it until the end.
Yeah, why not? We don't need things to be civil over here. Let's fight. Let's fight for our teams,
Let's go. No, I think there's a reason why Sierra was flip-flopping, is because this match is incredibly close. I mean, both teams have shown their strengths and both teams have shown their weaknesses, and I think it's very hard to say that one team is going to win over the other. And I think it's really just going to come down to who's going to be performing better, who's going to be calling a little bit better, and how much can they squeeze out from the ult economy going into Fracture, where there's 4 ultimate orbs instead of 2.
Great points. Now, let's head over to our agent select as we get ready for Fracture in our game 3. Make it all dramatic. Cue the little drum roll here. But yeah, the fact that these teams have been putting in a lot of work, Dan, into the server, little indications, and it looks like we're sticking to the same, if I'm recalling right.
But this is different. This is different because now it's not Dip the one playing the Yoru. It's actually First that playing the Yoru. That's different from last time that they played it just a few days ago. So SAD, they just changed the roles a little bit. Dip is instead going to be playing the Tejo. And on the other side, it's also interesting because for the past 2 maps, we've talked about QOR playing this Yoru. Now it is the other way around. Timotino's still playing on this Neon. And as Roy was mentioning, what is interesting about these orbs is we've seen since yesterday how much these orbs are helping for the post-play, or even just to take the sides be so overwhelming. I mean, we're seeing round 3s where the Rolling Thunder is ready, and that is something that I'm going to be looking forward to what Tarun is able to do on the side of SAD on attack.
We've really gotten to see the highlights from both of these teams and the adjustments that they've been able to make throughout this series. And now with Fracture on the horizon, cannot wait to see just a little bit more. So for the final time today, it's time to toss it over to our casters, Uber and Wyatt.
All right, Wyatt, we came into this game sort of heralding these two teams as being mid to lower table teams last year in Challengers. Whether or not that's the case this year, we definitely got what we wanted in terms of a proper series. This has delivered. Both QOR and SAD have looked really good on their particular map picks. And now it goes to Fracture. We get to see a KO back here on Fracture. Neon, of course, look from QOR. And SAD have switched up their Yoru play.
QOR have a very, not that it's bad inherently by being old, but it is an older Fracture look. This is a classic kind of comp. Coming through with one of, I think, maybe the, or at least one of the original maps where Neon was getting a bit of play. The KO was super common on here back in the day, whereas SAD have the much newer look, at least, you know, with the Tejo. The Cypher is an interesting pick. It's an early fight in arcade regardless.
Still that pressure now just coming into that tower direction, but they don't check. Matimo is able to emerge and take 2 kills while everyone's busy looking in Darkest direction. It ends up being a 2-for-1 trade, and Darkest still wants to fight for this. There was a fault line clearly involved there. Maybe a setup for Logan. This leaves SAD down to only 2 players, but Dipper's gotten to the site proper. Darkest gives up this ground, knows that they really need to game this numbers advantage. And Dip's going to start getting pressure from the site itself. Still no plant. That spike is sat out towards Arcade, and Snarly is able to make sure it's unrecoverable.
A crucial fight to win from Snarly. Smoke going to be placed down, pretty much end any hope that Dip has of trying to win this round. It would require a true miracle. Maybe somehow finds a kill with the missiles that hits some crazy headshot flick. It's going to take something magical.
30 seconds left.
And again, you can follow the trajectory of those guided salvo shots, and you'll know exactly where the tail is. So it ends up being only 1 for Dip. He's able to take 1 with the Ghost. But QOR now look to settle into this defense side after a solid pistol win.
I swear, if you crouch behind that box at Arcade, if they're hitting there, you get an instant 2K free every time. That spot is so goated for some reason. It's just never gets checked.
Yeah, it reminds me of the spot in Art on Pearl. It always seems like that defense side player that's like crouching behind it seems to get too much value.
Then you just get a little bit of help from Heaven. Dark is swinging in as well. Of course, starting this map off on the right foot after a disastrous meltdown on the second half of Bind.
Oh, yeah. That's one they've hoped to put out of their minds well and truly. Snarly and Logan have a pseudo high-low set up here. Okay, they're ready for the push from Dish. That was a pretty short stint in the round for Ferbs, who's the first to pop his head up and the first to lose it. Over on that B side of the map, it's Timo Zeno with a outlaw here. So obviously with that mobility, able to kind of be wherever needed. We've seen Neon still played, right? Despite nerfs. Someone like Arsena, for example, claiming that she still is strong in her own right. Darkest doesn't fully commit to checking that corner. Is definitely punished for it now, but it's unlikely you get out of this. Benji flattened by that judge. And Timo there, that position that Patience plays off.
He has been more than partial to purchasing that outlaw as much as possible, or as much as it's relevant. Anytime he can
30 seconds
get that weapon off against the bad buy, he's been taking the opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, they're denying this orb away from Dip if they can. They don't want that armor getting online too early.
Orb max.
Here's the salvo, forces Timo to drop down. Okay.
And he got
And
the
he gets
orb.
the orb. Unreal, bro.
That's
Guy's
tough.
getting everything. Okay, surely. Dip put to bed, but got what he came for, I think, in this round, as at least the outlaw will be recovered and taken into the next.
Someone knocked that breach
Be
on his
more
ass.
than happy to take that. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Neon plays out as far as agent pick rates in 2025. Valorant pro teams have definitely displayed a habit of broken agent gets nerfed, everyone abandon it immediately and move on to something else. And then there will be one team that continues to play it and maybe will realize, oh, actually, well, I mean, she is still pretty good and viable. And maybe that'll happen with Neon. We are at the everyone abandoned Neon ASAP stage. We'll see if maybe someone can still make her viable, relevant post-nerfs, because she's still good.
Yeah.
It's just how good is she now?
Issue is maybe she's just not broken. We'll see that slide.
Camera taken
Accuracy, getting a look.
Trick shots.
Okay, Darkest.
A
For whatever
slight
reason.
miscalculation.
Yes. We'll go with that. Definitely
He does end
is,
up getting one orb, though. Not the intended way, but he does get the orb.
Sure, yeah. When you exit the round, you are given that orb. Just, yeah, it's a head scratcher for sure. Core have been pretty meticulous up until this point. I guess Darkest just expects there to be a swing off contact. I don't know. That one is, yeah, we'll let it go. A site, they're pretty well held here. Core well and truly prepared to anchor this. But this wrap around here, yeah, via rope here is a little bit scary. They're going to get encircled. Here comes the Armageddon up on the side there, and there's nowhere that Logan really could have gone. Benji now out into the open. Nerve going to be pinched on two sides and has no choice but to self-immolate. He has to run. He knows he's going to get pinched either way. It looks ridiculous, but you see he has no choice. There's just no one watching from upper rope at all on the side of Core to slow this down.
Now, the only hope they may have had was their one player in dish, but he was just smoked off. That was Snarly over there. And the two players on site. Yeah, that's tough when you're getting crushed from sand and main and there's an Armageddon going down in your face. A little unfortunate. Positions got completely wrecked in that situation.
All right. Back up on your feet. It's just a bit of an unlucky round here for Core in general. This is...
Yeah, it started off on a tough note. And
Yeah,
unfortunately,
there's no rope control.
Bro just planked.
Bro just
That's
takes
tough.
the knee.
You just...
Oh, dear.
uh,
What a silly series. These two
wasn't
always
the
end
buy,
up
though. That's
getting into a
okay.
slobber knocker, to be fair. Yeah, we got to buy. Core obviously still with decent weaponry. Guardian here for Nerve. A little sussy, but it's fine. Uzi just taking a foray here over towards dish direction. Darkest handled that well enough, but elsewhere, it was actually Timo that fell. He was in an odd spot, to be fair. He pushed all the way out of A.
honestly, though, I'll take that trade. Neon for Brim, 40 seconds into the round. Pre-execute. Now they have to go in without smokes. Can't be too bad at that as a defender.
You saw the limitations of Yoru there, right? Sort of having to flash himself into that situation, but didn't have any ability to break crosshair placement outside of that, so just kind of dies as he tries to entry. Still though, look how Core spread very thinly across this battlefield, have left A completely open. So Sad have a fighting chance. And they've got, again, the breach, Teho.
Last player standing.
That's pretty clean from Darkest. Got out of there with 10 health. Now he can have all the util in the world. You really don't have enough to stand on as one of these attack side players. Just a bulldog. Money, of course, to Sad, so the next round is a buy either way. And Zoroni can get out of here with a couple of guns dropped. Then he's going to be feeling pretty good, but a 4-gun end round here for Core, and maybe Nerve getting an upgrade means that, yeah, they're chilling. Nerve's looking for it, and it's going to get pinged out for him. So 4 rifles coming out of this one.
Oh, that was well done. They keep it clean. That kill from Darkest was really excellent on the 4 versus 2 retake. Dip trying to take a risky fight, an aggressive fight, but has to in that situation to make an attempt at evening things up. It was really just killing Tuzi early in the round as well. That it's just going to put Sad in a pretty miserable spot. Yeah, forced to execute without smokes. Yeah, hate to see that. Snarly's gone ahead and set up towards the B site. Couple kill trips. One gets some arcade info as well if they're not watching it too aggressively. Has a cam for arcade deep, actually. So it's going to be a tough setup to crack for Sad. That does look like they intend on going to B.
Yeah, like I said, you could wrap your way in through tunnel, but it's not very time efficient. He's got no presence from the top of the map through arcade as attackers.
Smoke's down.
Here they go, making their way through. Nerve does see the clone cross here and tries to throw a molly down on midway. Snarly's fallen. Attacker's already getting a foothold now and a plant. As Timo's just a little late to the party, and again, he's caught out by Benji once more. Logan, though, overloads that position, deals with him. Flash on Zerona, just a little bit of him peeking around the corner. But eventually Dip will shut him down. Still, numbers are even at this point. And QOR are quite a long way from the site. Down to 2. Nerve could creep on up here, but geez, there's not a lot of support for him. Yeah, Dip speculating there's a player inside the smoke here, but from like 4 different angles, Sad can emerge in this post plant, and Darkest is may as well try and get out of here with a gun. He will strips Dips from his grip, and off we go.
Would love to see how Ferbsa got that entry kill onto Snarly. I wonder if he did the little trick play where you throw out a flash as you emerge from the gate crash and the clone is walking in. I think that might have been what happened, and he just cooked the Cypher, tucked into sight, opens it up. Those trap wires that could have gotten value got absolutely 0 of it. This was that flank later in the round that just ultimately didn't matter. Sad already had too much of a man advantage. Ferbsa had another flash to swing out of tower, doubled up. Pretty well played.
That'd be a faster hit here to try and overwhelm holes. Yep. Fault line immediately deployed here. On the other side of the door is Logan. Ferbsa wants that ropes control by the looks of things. Logan has to have known that the Ori slipped past them, so we'll be listening out for the sound cue as Ferbsa will just come from the ditch direction. Flash heralds their arrival. And all of QOR pull back towards defender spawn side of the map here. Now, looking to inch back out into A proper. And Ferbsa has no backup there. There's just no action from the hall side because they're smoked off. Rolling Thunder comes through, but most of QOR are clear of that. They're not out on the site in the open. Sad now starting to run out of options. That molly doesn't prevent them from moving out onto the site, but it stops them from getting out into the open itself. Pretty average last few rounds from Timo. Sad do emerge for a player advantage. Now Snarly is going to be lit with a cyber case to contend with. This is going to be very, very difficult for QOR to stop Sad from evening up the game. Now here's that Teho util to force Snarly out of the affair. And here's at least one of the players with the ability to buy again, but Dip will have his gun.
Oh, QOR just wanted to get back in and flood so quickly that it just ended up being a situation where all the players on either team were just staring at each other. It was before Sad were even attempting to tap the spike. So when they were getting out of main, duels just didn't go their way. I mean, I like the proactivity, but ultimately they couldn't win the crucial fights. Got traded out. This was a really cool play also to get that advantage with the little pop flash. Get the kill onto Ferbsa. Like to see that.
Snarly, the sole B-side player right now, facilitating for a dish push-up for QOR. Again, it's the kind of round you may as well throw caution to the winds and mix it up. So the hero rifle stays over on the B side, which was being tested, but looks like just an orb take.
Yeah, maybe a little apprehensive to go for the spam with the Vandal. Doesn't want the tracers to be spotted and just sprayed down when he is that hero rifle, like you mentioned. Rather keep it in his hands for a better situation.
Yep.
Might not have a better situation, though. Sad working A main. QOR want to get there to try to fight, but just classic. And just another classic. just classics. That's tough.
Yeah, I mean, that was a rough round for QOR to lose that previous one, especially after being in a pretty good shape, just kind of dropping the spaghetti out in the open on that A site. And she found Snarly. That was that solo player, and that was also the hero rifle now out of QOR's hands. Leaves them only with Nerve and Timo to work with, and they only have the classic Sheriff combination. That's the latter, the big iron clatters to the ground, and Nerve. Maybe I hope that there's an orb to take. Maybe they can salvage Snarly's weapon. This all seems so unlikely. No. They get gunned down real quick.
That was a important round for Sad as far as just getting their economy in line, having a clean anti-eco. A few of their players were just essentially down to 0 at that one, so going to put them in good position to try and string more rounds together. They have an opportunity to break QOR's economy, get ults out of them. This is one of those pivotal rounds that you arrive at in Valorant where if you win, you might be able to deplete the team of ults and money. Really run away with the half.
Similar opening. This time, though, Core group up in this smoke and will flash themselves out as well with the relay bolt. Tuzi's in the corner. They're not going to check this. Still, fierce push up from Core gets them at the 2v2 scenario. And there is a neural theft behind that. It's going to reveal all you need to know. Tuzi found 3 in the end, stuck in that corner. And heads over to B to link back up here with the Cypher.
Has a Molotov for the post plant. That's going to be obnoxious for Logan to deal with. It's just going to put extra pressure on him to be forced to defuse. And these post plant positions are really cool. Flipping the map and playing from spawn, love that.
Last player standing.
Okay, Logan's able to pick Benji out, though. That's the canteen player down. Logan has to expect that there's some action, but Tuzi not opting to try and take the trade in the crossfire means that Logan can only guess where they are. A crossfire, the crosshair, excuse me, in the right place. And that molly.
Shut up and let me work.
He's got to do it. He's got to go for it, Logan. Oh, that's so annoying. Tuzi has just kept him busy long enough, and he'll have to parry with the spike here. Not too shabby. A hard-fought round there for Sab, but that was, again, Core's gun.
Well played by Tuzi at the end there. Was worried when Benji went down. Not sure what prompted his swing. Losing that 1v1 was isolated. Give an opportunity to Logan. And from that angle, honestly, there's just not really a chance to get a decent molly onto the spike. So it required Tuzi to outplay him with the jiggle peaks.
So that was Core, like, they wanted to fully commit to the push out towards Tree on B side. It looked fine. We saw, like, Timo's trying to get something going. As the Neon on this defense side, trying to make something happen. Sliding forward into the fight, but got caught by your boy Tuzi, just tucked in a corner. Then when it's been really crucial in some of these important rounds to have a clutch moment, Tuzi has stood up. I think back to bind that 3K with the Sheriff. And that really took the wind out of Core's sails on that particular game. So, yeah, timeout here. Definitely need to see that. Verbs are going over towards the operator here, obviously on the Yoru. And it's Sheriff Stinger for Core. Just not a lot to write home about here. Last time they had this kind of buy, they grouped up and pushed out to Dish and found nothing and then just slowly died and lost the round.
I'm definitely looking for Timotino to step it up as we get out of the timeout. I mean, so far in this series, by far the player taking the most first engagements. He has 9 first kills and 9 first deaths. He's really been sending it in the early rounds. He has to start converting more first bloods for the team.
Yeah, we see that as well. It's something that Sim does a lot, right? Often takes those first engagements and often finds himself pretty even in that metric. Few duelists just have that style. This older school composition from Core has been unraveled a couple of times by, again, this Yoro, this Teho look. Sad have gotten all the way up through tunnel into arcade here.
Snarly has
My camera is
had some struggles anchoring this site on his own, has been really overwhelmed. The Yoru's been such a nuisance with just the Sheriff. It's even tougher than on the Pride round, so he had to step up in these situations.
Is an Armageddon. This is going to have to force Snarly to move. It's in the perfect spot to shake him off the site. He does well to hold his nerve despite seeing clones and gate crashes come past him, and he actually gets that kill on Dip. Not too shabby considering the weaponry situation here for Core, but eventually the rubber has to hit the road. The nose has to hit the grindstone. And the better weapons prevail.
Well, I mean, barely. The HP was so low. Benji really has to step up at the end to hit that clean 2-piece to close things out, or they're more than in a dangerous situation. Pretty crazy that Snarly was able to get off the site alive. I was certain he was going to get spanned down. And I think it's Tripwire caught Dip. That's how he was able to get that kill. Pretty crazy sequence of events.
That's bizarre considering the Trip actually caught the Yoru clone. So you would have thought they would have been able to clear it, but I guess there's just too much going on.
Spike down, beats. One enemy remaining.
All
Nice
right,
adjustment on the second there. Operator for Timotino.
that's the clone. Relay bolt fired off to make sure no one picks up that angle.
Can't imagine
Core
Sad
will keep their
are
heads down.
too thrilled about trying to get into this op, but if they do go here, that Rolling Thunder will be quite nice.
He's just pushing up again. We saw this so many times on Bind and was punished in the same fashion. Now Sad have found a burst of speed and they're hitting the ropes area of the map, and Nerve has not been able to pick up that line. It's going to be smoked off from upper. He might have to commit. He's also stood on a molly, if I'm not mistaken. Took some damage, but eventually the smoke clears and he finds two. Now Nerve drops. Spike out in front of him there. Double face to fight through, and Ferbser has his third. Leaves Snarly with it all to do, and Sad really have the measure of core in this attack side. They have the pace. They also know when to slow it up and wait for core to push into them.
Yeah, they really just allow that overextension again. It's Timotino is unfortunately given his life away in far too many early rounds since the second half of Bind really is when it began. It's been on defense, and a lot of it with the off. Just really trying to get onto the forward angles, not letting the attackers come to him. He hasn't found success with that.
And he's probably preempting the Teho util that would force him off the line, Wyatt. So I get it, but it's causing him to run into harm's way and easily be exploited by Sad. 4-round lead here for Sad, and then wasting no time on putting some pressure down on Arcade. Tower's theirs for the taking as well. But you'll notice that from the south of the map, Benji has not been all that aggressive. This will allow Core to get out into the tree, potentially into tunnel.
And with Nerve being caught in the dimensional drift, just gunning it through sight, they'll be able to get in. Benji finds the perfect timing. Why not neural theft? Why not just ensure this 8th round?
He's been a rat. I mean, Benji has been, that's his 13th kill of the map, I think. He's found so much success here, being that solo player, though. The rest of Sad is pivoting around.
You don't always see a ton of Cypher on the snap either, but he's making it look really good.
Enemy remaining.
And here it's just pure contact. Simple as that. Core have no option but to try and hold corner, swing out. The fundamentals, though, getting completely unraveled.
Last round before the
And that's 4 guns kept out of the round. 8 rounds in total for Sad. May be chilling with a 9-3 half.
Biggest thing in the advantage, or that could be an advantage for Core to squeeze out one last round, get the 4th, is the ult orb status. If they can try to get one over to their brim or their breach, they'll be, I think, one off of having the ult. So many players are so close. That is really what I'm looking at to be the catalyst for a round conversion here.
Benji's at the top of the map. He's going to hear this action coming his way. Oh, he's spotted. Interesting. There's a okay, he gets out with 1 kill there, which is astonishing in and of itself.
It really is. It really is. They also got that orb over to Nerve, so he's one away from the orbital strike at this point.
But the remainder of Sad over towards halls now. And they can take control of rope. They can take control of halls. So there's a reasonable A split at their disposal here, but opening the door gives away their presence. And for now, they're on the noise cut plan. That'll probably be a fake TP. Okay, a little bit scary there, I think, for Snarly. Yep, gonna be stunned up, and Ferguson actually takes the TP in there. Gets the better of the Cypher, and now Logan has a lot of work to do. He'll take his 1 kill and back off the site. Set this up for a post-bind here, in which Sad have used most of their util. They do have a molly, though.
Which will more than likely be turned off by the null command. No reason for Darkus not to just let that rip on entry.
Last round of the half and all. Darkus needs to just stay alive.
Orbital strike.
Pretty good. They're gonna run into his sidelines. And Nerve gets 2 of them with it. Beautiful. Okay, Core salvaged things a little bit towards the end of this half. Darkus never had to pop that ultimate in the end. And they'll take a 4-round half.
I was just trying to play to getting close to those ultimates, getting Nerve the orb earlier in the round, just needed to find 1 kill, and they convert. That was a tough half, though. It really was. Sad were playing that well. The executes with the Yoru were really cool. The site anchors were just having a nightmare of a time.
Time to jump.
So here's that gate crash actually used. Despite the stun, of course, actually catching on to Ferbser. As a beautiful way to finish off the half. Good ultimates available for Core there to secure the round. Now, a very important pistol, as you'll notice, Sad were able to string together 7 of those attack side rounds in a row.
Very reminiscent of their attack side on the last map, where they had that comeback. This time it's just propelled them into the lead. They need to close this out. We're definitely going to be calling on Timatino to step it up right now on this attack side.
Okay, Dip, yeah, I think Dip might have got a nice little stun off that. It's unclear. Ooh, deals with Timo beautifully. 3 kills. He's got to be satisfied with that. That's a pretty darn good round for the Tejo. And now the rest of SAD set up and ready to receive this push on the B. There are 2 players headed tree side.
Serrano's just ready to aftershock, but he finds a timing. Logan with the util out. That is disastrous. And now he just has to live, wait for his teammates to go up B main.
Keep some tabs on Darkest while he's at it. Who's been spotted out once more. SAD getting the pistol here. That is it's a backbreaker. Said it a couple times today, but that one is brutal. Tough to fight back from after SAD had such a good attack side half. And it really is those 3 kills picked up by Dip at the start of the round and set them on a collision course of success.
It should be the end days. All of that utility from the SAD comp just being pulled into B main. Dip able to fight close because of the guiding salvos. It's just so strong for fighting for early map control, man. It's just so good. This is another map that might just serve the statistics that I'm seeking of the non-mirror match. One team has a Tejo win rate.
Confirmation bias much, but that's all we've seen so far.
I love when my bias is confirmed. Gotta be one of my favorite things for real.
Sheriff bias here for most of core. Gatecrash left on the A side, so the Ferbs are obviously getting to hold halls for free. A lot of action for the attackers as they all, with the exception of their Cypher, group up into tunnels here. There's nothing at the top of the map here for SAD to help them pincer this, to catch it out. It might even look to, God, forbid link up with Snarly later. Now they're giving the game away. Spray here through the smoke. Catches on to Logan pretty heavily, takes him down to 6. Still, at some point, Core had to find a way to get through all of this.
They found my wife.
Yes, can jump over that. Just wanted to double check.
Clear the trip anyway. Logan, mind you, still very low. Core slowly inching up their control of this part of the map. They've still got to go B. And Null Command might have caught Zorona, but it's unclear.
Oh, I think Tuzi got that spot onto Snarly, but just seeing the Cypher not exactly going to command or rotate. Dip posted up on the heaven angle. Benji as well.
He's done more than enough. Benji out on the site though. Okay, handles Darkest. There's another one for Benji. 3 in the round. Logan very low. Chunked down after that first engagement, but time is so short. Logan has to go for a plant here. There's no choice. He's dealt with him. That'll be the round. Core. They get through tunnel, which is all well and good, but they don't really scale any further into the site until it's too late.
They really take their time. There was no reason for SAD to ever rotate off their positions. Good hold from Benji with the Bulldog. Probably would have gotten one more if he just had a couple more bullets left in the chamber. 17 for 8 has really come to life on the final map of the series. Try and get SAD over the finish line. Get them into that 1-0 section of the Swiss stage. We've been talking about it a lot over the last couple of days, but I do think it's important to repeat how different the format is this year with it being in Swiss and how much that has impacted the meaning of every match. Each match is so much more important than they were in the past. That's a great kill from Ferbsa.
And I think it's also important to point out as well that it doesn't get any easier if you win. You know, you're constantly getting paired up against...
It's harder.
Yeah, higher ranked opponents.
Nice. You beat Core. Have fun playing M80 next week.
Yeah. Swiss formats have a tendency to try and push like a bell curve, right? All right, there's Tuzi going down. Core here. Go the 1-for-1. Timo drops immediately eliminated. This Neon is just struggling to find value. Ferbs are up on high. See Snarly flashed himself onto it. 9 health for this Cypher. Again, it's a disastrous gun round, by the way, for Core. Disastrous start to it. What is the plan supposed to be?
At this point, hit the most lightning fast jiggle peek headshots of his entire career. I believe that might be the
Yeah.
plan.
Hit the most devious lick you'd ever seen.
in
30 seconds
recorded human history.
Yes.
And
We may speculate, we may editorialize, but it's all for the love of the game and a good story, folks. 11-4 is the scoreline. This has been just such a dominant map here for Sad. That was the gun round shut down for Core, by the way. Blinkety missed it. It was over so quickly as they tried to pinch A. Now they're forcing, and they will continue to do so if they want a chance of winning this map and series.
Enemy remaining.
good anchoring from Ferbs. It was him as well that had that kill on the early round push towards Dish to get some control of that part of the map, force a re-clear, fall back. All right, Core, this is basically last chance saloon. They've got to win this round. They are fully invested with a Stinger, a Bulldog.
They found my wire.
They have to go off.
Command for Darkest. Got that one pretty quickly, but he's been knocked already. Still, the suppression is important. Dipto deals with Timotino. Again, just a 1-for-1. At best, he's creating space and trading himself.
Oh my god.
Oh, buddy. I'm about ready to throw the book at this one, folks.
Match point.
Ouch.
Yeah, Zerona's ready to call SAD Esports management and ask for a raise after this map.
Oh. Yeah, we'll whip the flexes out, folks. This one is close to being done again. The force of the last round still allows Core to buy up. Let's see how this plays out. It's Benji on the site. This is during null command, mind you. God, is very, very good at cross-firing, anchoring these sites.
And the double cage position was really cool too, to get an isolated fight. Benji has just been a force on Fracture. He really has.
And he has to pop it in advance as the null command comes in too.
So Darkest is over towards A main, just trying to draw some attention, cause a distraction with the 0 point, and then regroup with the Cypher Snarly. It's a split effort onto B. Benji, again, needs to step up.
Timo won't check this corner. Guarantee you. Yep, here it is. Mineral theft for Benji. He's going to see everything now. He knows the pinch is coming in. 2 from tree, 2 in tower already. Another smoke though is going to cut off Core as they try and approach. And Sad want to try and wrap here towards Arcade. Being careful about it because there is some vigilance for Core towards that tower direction. Nerve picks the angle back up again, but it's just a Guardian. It's awkward. Now you cannot go 1v2 with the Guardian. Almost impossible.
One enemy remaining.
And Core are a lifeless mess. They are primordial ooze waiting to be scooped up. And that's the game, folks. A 13-4 scoreline is Sad. Win their opener here in Challengers. Go 1-0.
That was a close series for a minute there. Not at the end. Sad, so dominant on Fracture. The Tejo, yet again, wins the day. But I'm not just going to point to that as the reason for victory. Though they did have some great early round fights, their executes on attack were lovely, integrating the Yoru, his gate crashes to get into the site and disrupt the anchors, and then when it swapped over to the defensive side, the anchoring from Benji was just so sick. That was a really impressive win from Sad. Love to see him come out the gate swinging. Like, there's some players on this team I was really excited to see again. Ferbs was definitely one of them. So impressed with the win, and like I said, it only gets harder from here in the Swiss system. They have M80 awaiting them. They have a TSM awaiting them.
Cubit
the
Academy
Burger
awaits
Boys, who are apparently low-key the GOATs. They beat Shopify. It's a lot of good teams.
Absolutely. Yeah, look, for Core, a very difficult map. They lose both pistols, I think, you know, on Lotus as they come into the series, and I think they only win one on that bind here. So puts them behind the 8 ball a little bit. Fracture just looks a little uncomfortable. They can't string together those early defense-sided rounds after they do end up winning the pistol. Second half's just a wash. Absolutely brutal stuff.
Neon
We've got a lot to talk about.
May not be back. That's what I discovered. If you want to overreact to that one map, the nerfs worked.
Yeah, it didn't look good. A lot of those corners, though, just weren't checked. Timotino just got ratted on a number of those rounds, but that's how you deal with that aggression, that push-up. You wait for people to come into your crosshairs. I'd like to talk about here after today's matches. We're going to go to a quick break, and then Adesk will break down this 3-map banger and look ahead to the rest of our matches this week.
All right, first 3-game set, and it's going to be Sad Esports to take the win. And Dan, right away, I'll pass the mic over to you. Congrats.
All right,
It's
have your
another day
moment.
of winning. I mean, when am I gonna stop? I can't stop winning. I can't stop winning against this analyst desk that were trying to fight me. And I told you guys I was playing here for the long game, and I was right. I was right.
You and Sad Esports are one because they were playing for the long game too. There was a couple questions after the very first map, and I think a lot that were answered as we went on to the series. And when we look at this fracture, I mean, we got the comp differences. We got a Sad Esports Roy that was looking super strong. Like, this was some pretty defining gameplay.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously we had our, our doubts in the first map, and even in the second one, it was still pretty close, all things considered, despite the second half. But coming into this third map, you can clearly see that their game plan was extremely well refined. They knew exactly how they wanted to approach the map. They had their set execute. They had their ideas. Even the lurkers were, they understood their timings and sort of the map flow. And you could just see that it coming into this third map, that it was a completely different level of comfort for Sad, which, I mean, it makes sense because the last time they played this map, it wasn't even the full roster. It was a completely different, they had a different player and their roles were scrambled. So we kind of had this idea that maybe they weren't that comfortable on this map, but no, now that everyone's on their main roles, they look so good.
Especially when the last time they played it and they had a sub-Herbs that was the missing piece. He was someone that we've talked about so much on the day, just being such a strong key piece of this team. So being able to see the full strength of the roster now, being able to get this first win in Challengers. I mean, Dan, it's looking good for the team. That's definitely the right note you want to kick things off on.
Yeah, it's exactly what you want, and it is one of the points that we touched on at the beginning of the day is, okay, we have these two teams, QOR and SAD, that last year we always put kind of in the mid-table. We don't know if they were going to make it through, if they're going to make it higher than we expected, succeed expectations, but what we saw today was a SAD that was able to adapt on the fly, and as Roy was saying, have a clear plan on what they wanted to do on this map of Fracture. I think it's very different to what we saw before, where it was kind of more adapting in the round, but here, the set executes, the set plays are crucial to win this map. It's so hard to play around if you don't know how you're going to work around the map control. And that is, I mean, something that we saw throughout from the beginning to end. And the score is a 13-4.
Yeah, and you were talking about evolving and adapting, but they weren't only evolving and adapting in the moment. Even their meta interpretation of how they wanted to play the map and the compositions that they chose going into this map as well is pretty on point. I mean, we kind of got the stats on Twitter, right? Tejo versus non-Tejo mirrors is very clear. Tejo is winning. If you're not running the Tejo breach right now, you're almost trolling, it feels like, because of how strong the utility that you have and how layered it can be throughout every phase of the round.
And going one step ahead of that too with the Yoru, which is something that it seems like Furbsa had to learn and the team had to learn by themselves. It's not that the Yoru is meta on this map and we're seeing it by every single one of the teams. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of the Tejo by a few teams, but the Yoru is a specific pick that it seems like is working well for Furbsa, and it helped out so much with these executes.
And not only that, but someone we haven't really talked about at all in the series, but got the MVP, so I do have to give nods over to them, was Benji. Benji, someone who we've gotten to see before in this team, looking back at stage 3 here, Roy, and really being able to have a nice performance on the Cypher. So a nice little way to end off the day for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's some light when your Sentinel player has 6 first bloods in a 19 round, what is this, 16 round game? I don't even, math is hard, but like, you have 6 first bloods on the Sentinel role. They're not even playing for you. You're just that good at your role that you're finding all these picks and finding absolutely perfect timing on every single play. Yeah, it helps. It definitely helps.
Makes it a little light mode. That's 100% for sure. But it's time to say goodbye to you two for now and instead say hello to Dip, who is on call for our post match interview. First off, congratulations on the win. Nice start to Challengers. How are you feeling after that?
Thank you. Now we're feeling good. Feeling good.
Definitely glad to hear. SAD Esports going into this season's a little bit of a different roster than we've gotten to see from the past. I'd love to know in this off season, kind of that rebuilding, especially like losing member Darkest being on that other side.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, everything like this entire roster was like very last minute because Darkest ended up switching over to QOR. I think with roughly a week left before roster lock. I think a little less. So like this was kind of like a last minute roster, putting bits and pieces together with no time. Haven't had much prac. So yeah, I mean, I'm fortunate that we had the time to prac and come out with the win.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but these other individuals on the team that are joining in, even if it wasn't too much time before roster lock, you played with them in the past, right?
Yeah. No, they're kids I know. One of them is on my college team. I mean, we all played college together. I played college with Darkest as well. 4 of us are on the same team in collegiate, excluding one from SAD. So, I mean, that helps. That definitely does help. But
Right. I mean, the things we got to see things come together, so that was great. And I want to talk a little bit about that third map because that was a really strong victory. And I want to know from your opinion what it came down to. From us, it kind of looked like Tejo was a really big part of that. This composition difference. And what do you think? They're at a disadvantage because of that.
yeah, I think Teo definitely played a small part of it. I think Teo is very strong, especially on small maps like Fracture, Split, Bind. I don't know. I mean, Fracture is one of the only maps like we have a lot of practice on. Like that is a map, that and Bind, like were 2 maps that we're pretty well versed on. Lotus, that's like the 2nd time we've ever played it. And I mean, it helped a lot that every time they would crunch into our Sentinel, Benji was always good for a first blood and the information. So that made it really easy on us.
Yeah, Benji had a great performance. So
Yeah, he did. He had 6 first bloods, I think, which is
Yeah.
crazy for Sentinel. Yeah.
No, he was crushing it out there. And I mean, the team overall crushing it. So now I have to ask you, put you on the spot. How do you think SAD Esports stacks up to all the other teams that we have this stage for Challengers?
I think we stack up well. I mean, we have a lot of young kids on the team that are like hungry to improve and get better at the game. I think over time with more practice, we'll just continue to get better.
I mean, you're talking about how last minute a lot of this was, but still a strong victory. So I believe it. Dip, thank you so much for chatting. Congratulations again.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. As for us, back over to our analyst desk one last time for the day. Love the additional shout out there for Benji because Benji definitely deserved it. But yeah, I mean, Roy, considering that how they're saying like there's a couple teams that have said like, hey, a lot of things are last minute, but I couldn't tell that by how they played out there today.
Yeah, I'm also surprised that he said that too. It honestly looked like they were pretty well drilled, but it kind of does make sense, right? Because they've been a team for so long. And I mean, I think the first week is where things kind of start to fall in place, right? But I think week 2, week 3, that's really where we start to see the actual strength of these teams when they get more comfortable and more time to get reps under their belt. That's really when we're going to see the most competitive part of Valorant. And of course, towards the end of the split, they should be in full form and ready to challenge their spot.
Yeah, and it was definitely really nice being able to see these teams that maybe didn't give themselves enough credit in how fast things come together really be able to come to light. But Dan, that's it for our first week of Challengers. How are you feeling about this year so far?
I'm feeling pretty good. I really like what I'm seeing for the teams. I think it's early on, and a lot of teams, like Roy just said, are still getting the practice, getting maybe not having as much time to practice before. But I think Challenges right now is allowing you to play that because you're playing a little bit more matches. The whole year is going to be a little bit longer. So I mean, even for the teams that had it slow started, it seems like it's okay for them to do it right now. And I don't think there's one team where I'm just extremely concerned about, you know, as we had last year, teams having no wins to like half the year. I think that's going to change this year. And the whole overall level, it just went up. And you can see it in the game.
It's exciting stuff for sure. But unfortunately for us, that is it for the day. There's still one match happening on those watch parties in the side stream. It's YFP going up against Nightblood. So if you need a little bit more Valorant, definitely check that out as it's in map 3. But that is it from us. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you guys for crushing it. We'll see you next week.
Catches that Arbo. No, he's just going to be pressure from the right side. Flashpoint though, going to hit them in. Brain though, top the flash from the top. A minute with Kigo, I think. Here's that Armageddon coming on through. Garpa has absolutely nowhere to go. There was a special delivery as well from Weedy to make things even harder for the breach. Ghost will be revealed. Inside Tua and oh, buddy, there is a large amount of ordnance being leveraged here. Ghost going to try and hold it. Oh, my guy gets the 3K. The round is still online. 4 points of health left, and B-Dog is on the chase, but Ghost is giving his team a chance.
B-Dog can hear the rotate.
That is brutal.
That's just chilling in mid. Should be able to catch the rotate. Does Kaiser check this? No, he doesn't. Just distracted, trying to get into heaven too quickly.
All right, Brain has to flash himself in and go for it, but Bowser rips to the new one. Clearly unbothered. And there it is, folks. Flex goes to... To be honest here, Paint Shell's pretty nasty and immediately goes to get slapped down. These stingers need to be made use of here for Kikimori. Brain, the only one that's able to find anything with it. 3 versus 2, and Arbo is the sole player on upper for the time being. It should really be a matter of course now. Arbo looking to try and challenge him. B-Dog handles him, and it's just Kaiser. Clean as a whistle for M80. A 13-1 finish to series. Split was a little bit closer here, but it's very, very hard to see how Kikimori was supposed to find their edges early. Ends up being a 1-for-1, but it's messier than sad, but otherwise the Black, they're trying to pivot over towards B. But that seems like a risky proposition. Darkest already found Zerona, and here's that rolling thunder for the defenders. 12 seconds left on the clock, and A has to be the option. Benji slowly extricates himself from Baby Door, and we'll be able to get the plant here if it's not going to be interrupted. Burbs is going to be here just in case. Darkest is the greatest decoy, and Burbs can't capitalize on the fact that he drew the aim away. Now we have a 2 versus 2 for the game. Snarly and Darkest are banged up. But Benji's seen better days as well. In the drop we go. God, Snarly's just been better at every turn. And Verbser has to save this team. Forward line is in U-Haul, sees nothing. Okay. Benji just takes a breath there before taking the shot, apparently. Now the net is closing on Sad. Definitely feels like they've put on a timer, and that is a beautiful little fault line. Yeah, even with the opponent's blinded, Zerona is not going to be able to win that out. It's going to be up to Tuzi now. And you feel like there's so much riding on this round, even if it is the half-eye save round. Tuzi, Snarly, can't dodge this! For Benji, he's going to see everything now. He knows the pinch is coming in. 2 from tree, 2 in tower already. Another smoke though is going to cut off core as they try and approach and Sad. Want to try and wrap here towards Arcade. Being careful about it because there is some vigilance for core towards that tower direction. Nerve picks the angle back up again, but it's just a Guardian. It's awkward. No, you cannot go 1v2 with the Guardian. Almost impossible. And core are a lifeless mess. They are primordial ooze waiting to be scooped up. And that's the game, folks. A 13-4 scoreline is Sad. With their opener here in Challengers, go 1-0.
That was a close series for a minute there. Not at the end. Sad, so dominant on Fracture.
Catches that Arbo.